with solid chests fitted with hinges and locks, and with windows of glass instead of oiled linen. In this period, cash accounts of student banquets at the University of Bologna often include an item for broken windows, pro vitris fractis. Women, previously unpaid domestic labourers or symbols of sin, now gained status, dignity, and respect. The concept of chivalry and the code of courtly love elevated them, or at least upper-class women. They had leisure to learn to read and to enjoy the long poetic romances that were written for them. Women's conversation was prized, their friendship sought. Social life, as we understand the term, rarely began in the 13th century. The well-to-do burgher's wife aped the aristocrat's manners and aided her husband's reputation by ostentatiously displaying her wealth. The petty bourgeoise assisted in the shop, raised her children, and supervised the household and the apprentices, who, according to their contracts, were entitled to her maternal care. The peasant woman changed little, however. She continued to labour in the fields, unaware of any social evolution. One mark of the transformation was the appearance everywhere of new towns and cities. Newtons, Newports, Newburys in England, Villeneuve in France, Neustadts in Germany. These towns purchased corporate rights and liberties from the feudal lords on whose lands they were located. Their enterprising burghers laid them out with regard for commerce and the amenities of life, and walled them against armed greed. The new prosperity of these towns was based on commerce. Commerce, in turn, was based on industry, and industry on obscure developments in technology. Improvements in agricultural techniques created surpluses that made it possible to feed the city's growing populations. New tools and devices contributed to the development of small-scale manufacturing. The humble spinning wheel appeared in the 13th century, the first example of belt transmission of power. The same period saw the introduction of the mechanical weight-driven clock, which altered men's conception of time by dividing day and night into 24 equal hours, thereby making possible standardized measurements of time and modern science itself. Previously, there had been 12 hours from sunrise to sunset, and every day the length of the hour and minute varied. Navigation was transformed by the introduction of the compass and the fixed rudder. We are ill-informed about medieval technology, but we have only to regard the dizzy engineering of a cathedral or the wide arches of a 700-year-old bridge to recognize the theoretical skills of their builders. To be sure, the commercial prosperity did not alter the lot of the lowest classes of society. The peasant had his constant enemies: warfare, taxation, epidemics, famine. During the reign of Philip Augustus of France, 1180 to 1223, 11 famine years are recorded. Countrymen ate roots, bark, and carrion, and died. The poor people of the cities were no better off. They suffered from the added menaces of city diseases, fires. Rouen burned 6 times in 25 years, and dismal and prolonged periods of unemployment. The first 2 centuries of the new millennium saw the gradual rise of a few lands to nationhood. The foremost was France, which gained an intellectual and cultural dominance that it has preserved almost continuously ever since. French achievements in philosophy and science, in literature, in art and architecture, and in the refinements of social life set the tone for feudal society throughout Western and Central Europe. By the end of the 12th century, the French language was spoken in every court and was the official tongue of the principalities that the Crusaders had established in the eastern Mediterranean. The courtly life of French nobles was imitated everywhere. French literature, art, and architecture were taken as models. Paris was the great school of philosophy, attracting students from every part of the medieval world and sending them back to their own countries filled with new ideas. In the northeastern corner of France and just beyond its borders lay the thickly populated county of Flanders and the neighbouring provinces of Holland and Friesland. These low countries were the first lands to industrialize, the first to discover the joys and the miseries of commercial prosperity. The Frisians had been well known even in ancient times for their woolen cloth, still called frieze. To supplement the wool supply, they sent